You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 3rd, 2022 meeting of the LaPorte County Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the LaPorte County Board of Commissioners meeting, Wednesday, August 3rd. We're glad that you're here. At this time, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We are going to be led today by two veterans with quite an accomplished service record, Mr. Alan Good and Mr. John Dysart, who will lead us in the pledge. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's start with the roll call, please.
Commissioner Matias,
Present.
Commissioner Brzezinski,
Present.
Commissioner Haney,
Present.
all kind.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to consider the agenda for today's meeting.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. The agenda is approved. Next, we have consider approval of the July 20th, 2022 minutes of the Board of Commissioners.
Motion to approve the minutes that were originally presented, not the recently altered or incorrect. We've listened to the minutes over and over. I know what was said. It's incorrect. I will approve the original minutes as presented.
Madam President, there was one line that was changed in there, a supposed quote from myself that was incorrect, and I am more than happy to play the video clip if it would so entertain the board so that you can see that the current minutes are factually correct.
So, Mr. Haney, before the board meeting, I looked at the original minutes and the minutes that you had Diane change, and then I listened to the video. I then brought it to Mr. Brzezinski, and he listened to the video, and the change that you made in the second draft of the minutes is not correct, according to the video.
Well, we can play it right now then if you would like, and we'll hear it for ourselves.
You have Diane's version?
The one that's in front of me right here?
No, I meant the video.
The video from Alco. Do you have it already played up?
I have it right here, yes.
Oh, great. I'll save us some time. It's already queued up.
Honestly, I find it very personally offensive to listen to an oath keeper talk about things that are inappropriate, unethical, and just not right. Mr. Haney.
No, that's not true. I'm not a member of that organization. Please stop.
Okay.
It stopped.
Please stop. Please stop.
You amended the minutes to say, you know that, and that is not correct.
I
says,
apologize
stopped that,
then.
it sounds like, to us.
I apologize. I will amend that to say please stop, as that is what the audio says.
I think we're going to have to
Motion
listen to
before.
the audio again, because it sounds to me as if it says, I stopped that.
No, it says please stop.
Okay, so we are not in agreement on the minutes. I'm not going to second your motion, Mr. Brzezinski, so that we can all listen to the tape, discuss it internally, and bring it up at our next meeting for approval.
Sure.
Next on the agenda, consideration of claims.
Payroll ending 7/29/22, $1,321,682.96. Operating expense claims is $2,888,774.63.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion has carried. Claims have been approved. Next on the agenda, we have public comment. I ask everyone to remember that we try to be respectful at our meetings. This is a business meeting, but you are welcome to voice your opinions as long as they are not attacks on other human beings, because this is not our protocol. you have a right to say whatever you want, but because this is a business meeting, this gavel runs the show. So we have the gentleman from Door Village. Perhaps you'd like to approach?
Good morning.
Good morning. If you could give your name and your location of your home and then tell us what you're
I
here
am
for.
Alan Good. I'm here representing the Door Village Harvest Festival. And we in the past have used cones and signs to make the traffic that goes across the road, the pedestrian traffic, safe during our festival, which will be held September 10 and 11. And I have a letter here to present to you, which entails
Thank you.
the items that we have got from the county before to initiate this safety program for our pedestrians.
Okay.
I would like to request that we do this again this year.
Okay.
Motion to approve Mr. Good's request. It's one of the nicest little festivals in the county for sure.
Thank
Mic
you.
on?
Many times.
Your mic needs to get turned on.
Oh, sorry. There it is. Motion to approve Mr. Good's request. We will forward that to the sheriff's department and make sure they understand.
Second.
Be good.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve Mr. Good's request for support from the county during the festival in Door Village. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion is carried. Thank you so much for coming.
And thank you for your time and service.
Good luck this year. We'll see you there.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak at this time? Any other members of the public who wish to speak at this time? Okay. We have someone on Zoom. Miss Bannock, hi.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, thank you.
I
Could you
live at
could you just give your name and
45 West.
address, please?
Hi, I'm Sherry Bannock.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Sherry Bannock, I live at 4551 South 75 West. I'm sure you know that I'm here to probably discuss the Meadowview NOAC project with you guys again. I want to thank you guys for having the workshop for us. A lot of the questions, obviously, we heard a lot of hopes that this drain would work, with the hope that after installing it, you guys will have a little bit of relief for the NOAC subdivision when it comes to them having water issues in their basements. But there was no guarantees, and there was a lot of questions regarding the people downstream again. And no one has provided us with any information when it comes to the potential flooding of the neighbors downstream. They provided, once again, on the website, we had asked for clarification of where the drain's going to be. Sheila, you had asked that Mr. Sullivan put the correct plans on the website. Still to this day, he has not done that. He states that the drain is going to be on the west side of the road. The plans show the east side of the road. Everything about this project seems to be just not up to par. I mean, it's a sloppy project. A lot of things with the plans just don't seem right. The actual no assessment has been done on any of the homes out there beyond the Burke study. There's houses out there that I'm a realtor, and I can look up information regarding sellers' disclosures that these people that live in the subdivision have signed on the dotted line that they don't have water issues in their basement, and I can provide all that information to you, that they don't have issues. There's a house on Nowak Drive that just sold this last month. They state that they don't have water issues. The head guy that is going to be assessing this project, John Smith, who also lives on Nowak Drive, states that he don't have any water issues right now, but he does have a sub pump that is not even kicking on. So they're not having water issues right now. The people that I'm worried about is the downstream, because that's the people that we have. Obviously, we're late to the project. We didn't know that this was going on. We didn't know this was going to impact us. They've had 12 years to complain to you guys. We just have had a few months. Once again, we had asked about the main drain tile that's in that location. If anyone has assessed that problem at all, if there's like a plug in the drain or whatnot, maybe that's the issue with why there's so much subterranean water in that area. Sullivan and Hendricks have not even looked into that. This is $1 million project. I would think that drain should be assessed before you move forward with this project whatsoever. There's a farmer that has actually done a lot of drain tile work on his farm, which is the pond just southeast of the subdivision. He's done a lot of drain work from Nowak subdivision all the way to 400 South. That might actually help with their drain issues as well in Nowak subdivision. I just think that this project needs to really be reassessed and look at current data, not look at historical data back from 1986 that Hendricks has provided you guys with. When we're comparing apples to oranges, that his information that he gave you is pretty much that. It's apples to oranges. So we truly don't know the impact of how much flow is going to be going down the creek according to that information that he provided you. We also want to know, I know a lot of us had discussed in the workshop if there's going to be a tax assessment on Nowak subdivision, because the fact that this is $1 million of our tax dollars. Why are we paying for a private subdivision to have a drain installed and then impact us downstream? Is there going to be a tax assessment on this project or some kind of special assessment that you do on other subdivisions that might have some kind of drain work done? But that, I just hope that you really look into this. And I understand that Nowak subdivision, they have been using their sub pumps a little bit more than what they're used to. But living in the county, people have sub pumps all the time. I use mine mine gets used all the time. Yes, electrical work or electrical bills are a little bit higher, I'm sure, in that subdivision, but so are other parts of the county that are wet. You have Hudson Lake, Fish Lake, South County, such as La Crosse and Wanata. There's areas that are all lowland that people have sub pumps, but that is just part of living in the rural America. So I just hope that you guys really reassess this project, possibly put it on hold, and really rethink and maybe do some assessments on each individual houses that have claimed that they have water issues in their basement. But because a lot of times people get water in their basements for something simple, like lack of gutters, soil elevation on foundations and so forth. But I think the main thing you also need to do, the county got involved in this project because of the infrastructure that has been damaged. Well, there is a huge area for a retention pond. None of that has ever been dug out. And I think that is really where you need to start, is dig that out. If those people in the back of Nowak subdivision, when they bought their properties, that was on their plat map and their deed, that was a retention area. Start with that. Dig that area out. See what you guys can do on relieving just the water from the roads on that avenue, and go from there. That's my suggestion. Thank you for letting me talk today.
Thank you so much. Are there any other members of the public, either online or in person, who would like to speak at this time? Hearing none, let's move on from public comment to department head comments and reports. Any department heads who would like to speak at this time?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Amanda Laners, County Health Department. I just wanted to give you an update about the immunization clinics that we've been having out at the county fairgrounds. LaPorte County was identified by IDOH as needing a little bit extra help getting kids immunized and back on track since COVID. We were one of 15 counties selected to have extra clinics. So our first clinics were on the 29th and 30th of July. We got 81 kids in and updated on all their vaccinations. So there was 193 vaccinations given that day. We are coming back out on the 16th and 17th of August. It is a Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and there are no appointments needed. Anybody can walk in, from a kindergarten children all the way up through the 12th grade. No insurance, no questions asked. Come get immunized.
So athletes and things can get all of their updates and things like that?
Yep.
Okay.
And they're also doing COVID boosters and COVID shots as well as regular childhood immunizations.
Great. So we need to make sure we get that out on social media and on the web because that's really important.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Marika Beatty, LaPorte County Community Corrections. And I would like to request permission to approach the council for an additional appropriation of $200,000 for our lease agreements, our total court services bill, which is our vendor for GPS SCRAM and remote breath units. We need additional funding for that lease agreement.
Motion to, permission to approach the council for funding.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to allow Community Corrections to approach the council for additional funding as described. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Permission granted. Thank you so much for coming today.
you.
Are there any other department heads who wish to speak at this time? Mr. Sullivan, because we had some questions on Meadowview, could you give a brief summary of the meeting that we held with on this topic with Meadowview and Kingsbury Creek? Thank you. Mr. Haney and I joined Mr. Hendricks, Mr. Sullivan, and I think that was maybe Mr. Poland came after his the meeting that was being conducted. So we held a meeting with the citizens and tried to address their questions, explain the Burke study and some of those things. So if you could just give a quick
This is Jay
kind of
Sullivan,
executive
the county
summary.
engineer. We did meet with some of the property owners in the area, and Mr. Haney and yourself were at the meeting. I think Mr. Mrzinski was on Zoom.
Right.
We tried to answer and relieve a lot of the concerns of the property owners. Biggest concern is being flooded downstream, and all the studies show that won't be the case, and we believe that not to be the case. So we given an update. Construction is hopefully going to start in 4 weeks. The contractor has ordered the pipe. He says about 3 weeks out, so when he gets the pipe, he'll commence. One of the issues that I did upload or sent to everybody, some of the requests that they had asked for in regards to the water study that was done and how that information came about, excuse me. And also then the plans, everything is on the west side, and I will upload those plans as soon as Tony gets them done. He made one crossing for the outlet that crosses the road and then goes to the east side, and that's going to be changed. Everything's going to be on the west side. As soon as he gets those done, I will upload those to the
So that
county
explains the
websites.
delay, is that it's being
Yeah, that's what the
reworked.
plans for.
Okay.
Everything else I did get to them, so hopefully
Okay, great.
answer those questions. But I don't know any concerns that you might have. Yes, I will say that right now there isn't a lot of pumping going on in Meadowview, but it's been fairly dry, very dry spring, very dry winter. That could change in a hurry, and history shows that they do have an issue there, and a lot of erosion on the road, because of the water issues they have there. So.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Are there any other department heads who wish to speak at this time? All right. Hearing none, let's move on to requests. Whoops. Oops, I'm sorry, Mr. Pullen.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
You're looking awfully summery today.
Yeah, I'm gonna be outside after this. So.
That's excellent.
I actually came here for a different reason, but the person who usually launches the attacks isn't here, and unlike them, I'm not gonna participate in that when they're not here to defend themselves. So I was back there listening, and there was a couple of questions posed about Meadowview that I happen to have the answers for, so I'll just go into that. There is a per lot assessment in each lot in Meadowview Estates. That is a drainage assessment that is specific to surface water management. It may be able to be taken and used towards this project. I don't know. That will have to be checked with the Drainage Board attorney. But just to answer that, there is already a per lot assessment out there. Second, they asked, what have we tried already as far as dealing with the surface water? The retention area there was pumped out dry completely to see if that would alleviate the ground pressure, the hydrostatic pressure from the subterranean water, and it did not. So I know that the Kingsbury people were, like she said, they're late to the game. The county officials, even before you guys, have worked on this for a long time. And the county was hesitant to get involved. But when you have that many residents that are affected and you have municipal infrastructure, it's evident that these individual property owners are not going to be able to put in their own sewer system or deal with the problems themselves. It's going to take a government action. I have confidence in our experts that are working on this. I understand the questions from the residents and their concerns for downstream flooding, and I think that there should be some special attention paid to that, especially considering that mathematical equations that are used to calculate this form of engineering, when you're dealing with subterranean water, they're not as exact as they are when you're dealing with surface water management. But yeah, we have a per lot assessment. The surface water is functioning out there, the drainage, the way that it's supposed to. There's no problems with that. It's all subterranean. And like I said, that largest retention area was completely pumped dry before we even got into this project to see if that would alleviate that, that groundwater. And it just didn't work. So hopefully that at least answers some questions that were posed here today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I can elaborate on some of the stuff.
Yeah, please.
There was a question brought up about, digging some of the lots out and expanding the detention basin or making a new detention basin. And like Mike said, that's not going to help the problem. The detention basin is just for surface water. Our surface water is contained pretty well. It's all subsurface water that we have issues with. And in the basin currently, when you have a high water table, that's where the water basin, the bottom of the water is in the basin. You drain that down, you have more capacity for detention. That's what we're trying to do with this project also. And by increasing, we're not going to solve the subwater drainage. It's not even help relieve the detention for the surface water that runs off. We're trying to get rid of the subsurface water and lower the water table. I think it'll help all aspects of that problem then. So, but we did look at digging out that area that she was talking about. We didn't feel it would help. Neither did Christopher Burke. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Any other department heads who wish to speak at this time? All right. Hearing none, let's move on to requests. Consider permission to approach the council to purchase 2 excavators. Mr. Werner from the Highway Department.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dwayne Warner, Superintendent of the Highway Department. Yes, I'm requesting permission to approach. We currently have 2 wheel excavators. They are a Caterpillar M318s. They're 1999 models. That being said, excuse me, I got a little frog in my throat. That being said, we use them probably 95% of the time in our culvert replacements throughout the county. They starting to get to be very undependable. Parts are getting to be harder to come by, and it's just they're 23 years old. It's time to move on and replace some of this old equipment so that we can be more reliable and more efficient in our working. The ones we're planning on purchasing, one is comparable to the same size as these machines to do the same amount of work. The other one is just a little bit larger to help offset maybe some of the larger projects that we may run up on where we could actually handle them ourselves with the new size of equipment. So overall, that's why I just want to approach council. It's time to start replacing some of this equipment and get updated a little bit.
Motion to approve the request to approach the council.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the purchase, to approach the council to purchase 2 excavators. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Dwayne, before you leave, when I drive past your yard, there's a lot of surplus things that don't move. They sit there. I was talking to a couple other department heads, and they have surplus things as well. So we do a really good job when there's surplus county property, real estate property.
Yes.
But we don't do such a great job of getting rid of our garage sale items. And you've got some really big ones that I think people may find valuable. They may be able to use parts from, et cetera, et cetera. So is it a time for us to begin to kind of, if you're buying new things, it's kind of like when you clean out your closet, you buy a new outfit, you get rid of the things you don't wear. So
Right.
how about those excavators and those bulldozers?
That's
and,
the plan. We did have an estimate given on those for trade-in value. And of course, like with anything, trade-in values are very low. A lot of people are looking for these sought-after older equipment that don't require them to be used on a daily basis, and maybe you're going to buy. So that was one of the intentions with these two pieces of equipment. We're planning on doing an auction at the highway department. A lot of these new trucks that we've been purchasing are tandem trucks and plow trucks. We have a surplus of those. Some of those are at the level of where we can put them on auction also. We do have some older equipment that is, desirable for some people. A lot of it's probably ready for the scrap pile, which we have a very big pile of that also that we're working on getting an auction together. And that would be something that, yes, it was very much entertainable. It's just a matter of coordinating that, whether it's with other departments ourselves or just us alone.
I believe that there's a couple other department heads, so you might want to put out a call to some other departments and ask them if they have things that could be in an auction, and then that's tax dollars back into the general fund, and that's
Correct.
just
Yes, that's where
making use
we're
of our
working on that
assets.
right now.
Great.
And so, yeah, that is something that we are leaning towards, and hopefully we get, I don't know if it'll be able to be done this year, but hopefully definitely in the spring of next year.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Madam President, I understand there's an auction August 27th using Jim Listinsky. Perhaps the commission could direct or request department heads to provide items that they'd like to see either included in that auction or set up for another department-wide auction. I believe one was conducted several years ago where we had a certified auctioneer conduct that, so it may be something that could interest the commission in directing county-wide.
Actually, Mr. Listinsky called me to ask me about that. He saw the same pile of stuff. He said,
Right.
He's been out there before to help us get rid of
Yes,
that.
I believe he might have been out at our department 4 or 5 years ago. I think we went through these same things.
He's
Get
ready
rid
to
of
go.
our excess equipment that we replaced.
He's ready to go.
Okay.
Get our end.
All right, so let's direct you and any other department heads who have surplus equipment to maybe Charity can assist us in reaching out to the auctioneer and
It's like we get
getting some things in the process, and then perhaps in the spring, what isn't put up for sale this August, we can do another round in the spring. I mean, those are assets for the taxpayers, and we need to make sure we're using our assets correctly.
Very good.
Great, thanks so much.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, consider permission to pay 19 sick days to Darlene Forker, who has retired. Ms. Stevens?
I think we already
okay.
acted.
All
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's retroactive.
Oh, that's correct. We have a motion and a second to approve the request by Ms. Stevens to pay 19 sick days to a retiree. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Consider permission for travel to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Catherine Schmidt. Hi there, Catherine.
I'm Catherine Schmidt. I'm the Director of Adult Protective Services, and within our state grant, we have funds for training, and so I would like to use our funds to send 2 of my investigators to the National Adult Protective Services Association training in Grand Rapids at the end of the month.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve and grant permission for travel to the conference. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Next, consider permission to approach the council for annual maintenance contracts and furnishing budget for Rolling Prairie Base and McGuire. We are very excited about the progress out at that EMS base.
Good.
Absolutely. Moving pretty fast. So I'd like to establish a budget for the furnishings. The furnishings weren't included in the original price for the construction. So I came up with a budget, and I'd like to approach the council for approval of that budget. The budget came to $39,500, which I thought was pretty reasonable for every single thing you can think of that we need inside that base, from window blinds to shelving to you name it, it needs to be purchased. So we have nothing to move into that base from another base. So
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the request to approach the council for the annual maintenance contract and furnishings for the new Rolling Prairie EMS base. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And just to clarify,
That's
the
okay.
maintenance contracts are not involving directly the Rolling Prairie Base project. Those are, the maintenance contracts are our annual maintenance contracts we need for all the equipment we have and items that need to be, have preventative maintenance done, so on and so forth.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thanks. Next, we have old business. Are there any items of old business?
Not me.
Jay, do you have old business or no? Okay, all right. Hearing no old business. Anyone online that has old business? All right. Next, we have new business. Consider contracts for Bridge 37 and Bridge 166. Bridge 37 is for $90,400 and Bridge 166 is $289,380.
These were both vetted and scored by council, commission, and.
Yes. Yes. I believe Mitch was on both of these. Actually, we switched back and forth, but it just so happened he was on both of the bridge scoring.
Motion to approve them.
Yeah.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contracts for the Bridge 37 and Bridge 166. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, consider agreement to allow a sheriff deputy to adopt a retiring canine dog. Sheriff.
Good morning, Commissioners. We've been before you before with our canine assets when they reach the end of their service duty life. We try to retire those with the handlers that they've spent the majority of their life with. This dog, Argo, is a 9-year-old Belgian Malinois. He's been with the department for about 7 years, and he is down to single purpose. He's an explosives detection dog, but he is dual purpose certified. He also is an apprehension and tracking. He does have some physical limitations that has forced him to only be single purpose. That's explosive detection. So he does have an issue with one of his paws. He's got an issue with the tendon. He has severe arthritis in his front paws. He also has a calcium buildup in his back that is causing some discomfort. Unfortunately, our hand is kind of being forced as well because his handler, Bobby Greer, is leaving the department for greener pastures, unfortunately. But this was inevitable, and we want to make sure that we can have the two be with each other for the rest of Argo's life. He's been a good partner for Bobby and a good family member. So with that being said, we come before you asking that you approve this agreement. This is the same agreement that we've used with the other dogs that we retired. And again, this is something that we knew that we were going to have to do sooner rather than later.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve allowing the deputy to keep his dog. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Sheriff, will
Sheriff.
you be up for adoption in about 5 months?
It depends on who wants to adopt me and why.
I think Amy's got the first bid.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Sheriff. Next, we have Commissioner comments. Commissioner Haney.
Thank you, Madam President. Before I get into my closing comments, just briefly want to mention there was some construction photos that were shared out on social media of a crawl space, and taken those quite seriously, and been in contact with our building department, and also I was in a fairly long and healthy discussion and meeting yesterday with our building commission department and inspectors, and the short takeaway here is that we're going to put some extra steps into place that will help catch these things slightly earlier in the inspection process, hopefully. We're also going to work on some extra documentation, making sure that when so for example, there were no green tags issued for that below ground work that was in that. But for some of the green tags that were issued to continue, because there was no final approval on this, and there still is not final approval on it. The documentation, at least, to say that things that were above ground, for example, one of the notes on there said no underground, was one of the short comments on one of the inspector's reports. So that's a little slightly vague as to exactly what that means. Unfortunately, that one inspector is no longer with the building commission, so we weren't able to get clarification as to exactly what they meant by no underground. We're assuming that no underground meant that they didn't do anything underground because they weren't told that was in at the time. So It's our suspicion that most likely the stuff that was done below grade was done after those green tags for the above stubs that were done, and obviously they would have been caught in the final inspection when the full pipes are inspected and checked and tested to make sure that they don't leak prior to that final approval. So that was good, and that's a good case of local watchdog helping to keep things on track and make sure that everything's going according to plan. So it's a good learning event, at least to increase a little bit more of that documentation. One of the things that I learned working in a hospital for many years is that if you didn't chart it, or in this case didn't write it down, it didn't happen. So conveying that to our building inspectors, I think, is going to go a long way to make sure that we can look and see exactly what was inspected on what day, as opposed to some of the more vague statements like no underground. So there we go. That's the good news there. We're continuing. Again, there was still none of what was shown in those photos was green tagged approved, and it would have been caught in the final. So there's actually a different contractor there now, and we won't get into the specifics of all that. But the good news is that is going to be taken care of, and the homeowner is not going to be stuck with something that they're unsure of what was down there. Moving on, it's in addition to that meeting, it was it was very busy these past couple of weeks. Everything from solid waste board meeting, went to an IPSC meeting on last Friday about some of our emergency communication issues. I know a lot of people around the county, especially if had AT&T, had issues, especially in the southern part of the county, with their phones. That had affected some of our operations here as well. Our E911 department and our various other departments really came out and did a good job with that. We're going to make sure we take further steps to make sure that if someone inadvertently cuts a fiber line in Porter County, hopefully it doesn't have such a dramatic impact on LaPorte County. So, and for those who didn't realize that outage affected multiple counties here in the northern part of the state. It wasn't just Porter and LaPorte County. Had a very good, productive community corrections board meeting. Things are moving forward out of community corrections. I'm very pleased with the progress that we've made since our new interim director has taken over. As Commissioner Mateus mentioned earlier, we both attended a Meadowview NOAC meeting and workshop earlier in the week, as well as a Gypsy Moth Task Force meeting. It's somewhat unfortunate the way the state and federal government outlines counties. They have a 3-tiered system, basically a kind of a leading edge, an action zone, and then you're behind the line and we're almost going to write you off type of approach to as the gypsy moth issue and spongy moth, as they're now calling it, moves forward and continues to go not just across the state of Indiana but across the entire nation in this diagonal cut. We're to continue working with our state authorities and try and see exactly what we can come up with. One of the issues, obviously, that we face is that if we spray a few areas here in LaPorte County, that doesn't address what's happening in Michigan, what's happening in Ohio, what's happening in Illinois, and of course now as it comes further down, touching Kentucky and other areas. So it's pretty in-depth issue that we're dealing with there, and their thought process there for some of that is that there's a 3-year peak and then it drops off for 7 to 10 years, and it's almost like half the county they feel like is hitting that 3-year peak, so they don't want to expend any state or federal resources to try and stop what's already halfway, 3/4 through the county. So while that part is unfortunate, we're going to do everything that we can to try and mitigate whatever's possible in our realm there. There's obviously council budget hearings last week. Had a good Parks and Rec meeting last night out at Lure Park at the new shelter there. There's going to be a grand opening coming up at Bloom Park for our open access inclusive playground out there. I encourage everybody to try and make it out there and see that. It's going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning. Saturday the 6th, for our solid waste district, we have household hazardous waste. This time the location is going to be down in Wanata, and it is going to be at the Kankakee Valley REMC just off of Highway 30. If you're not going to be able to make it to that one, the following month on September, there is a full 7-in-1 event at the fairgrounds, so there's that as well, but at least for folks down in South County, they don't have to come further up in the county for that. Lake Fest was over the weekend. City of LaPorte, Mayor Tom and their entire committee did a fantastic job. I got to get out and experience some of the events there. Fantastic concerts as well and fireworks. This weekend we've got a number of different events as well. Hannah Fest is going to be coming up down the line as well. The boat races this weekend, obviously they have their Taste of Michigan City, which is now their kind of food court outing that they're having up there, which is going to be fun as well. And in closing, I'd like to close with a quote from Frederick Douglass. We had some lively commentary last week about freedom of speech, and I'll leave you with this from Frederick Douglass. Liberty is meaningless where the right to utter one's thoughts and opinions has ceased to exist. That, of all rights, is the dread of tyrants. It is the right which they first of all strike down. Thrones, dominions, principalities, and powers founded in injustice and wrong are sure to tremble if men are allowed to reason. Equally clear is the right to hear. To suppress free speech is a double wrong. It violates the right of the hearer as well as those of the speaker. Thank you, Madam President.
Certainly. Commissioner?
Okay, let me collect my thoughts here after that. Of all of the meetings and Zoom meetings and emails and text messages and phone calls and conference calls that go on a daily basis, I have to admit that this past month, my wife and I were both, her for the first time, me for the second time, struck with COVID again. So I only was able to do 100 hours of county business this past month. But one of the things that I did, I won't go into all of them, but one of the things that I had the honor of being invited to was the 25th anniversary for the Michigan City Economic Development Corporation at the Blue Chip. Huge. Lots of companies there, lots of stuff. Had the honor of being invited there. And at that, our own Commissioner Sheila Matias was given the Lifetime Achievement Award. Very well deserved. Very well deserved. It's kind of a misnomer when they say lifetime. I hope that your lifetime is not over, that there's more to come. I'm sure there is. We have all the things that we work on a daily basis to bring the county forward in economic development especially. And I know we don't do these kind of things for this kind of recognition, for awards and things. It's just, but it is appreciated when it does happen, and very well deserved. So
nice.
Congratulations. Thank you. I'm done.
That was unexpected, and thank you so much. That award was unexpected. I didn't realize that was coming until I sat in my chair and opened the program and saw that there were a group of people that were being honored. So I appreciated that. You know, public service doesn't often, you hear a lot of gripes. So when someone says something nice, it's really, really extra special. But you don't do it for the accolades. You do it because you care about your community. And when you live somewhere, we're all in charge of building community and helping families and helping one another, and that's really what I focus on. So what I'd like to start with is the spongy moth / gypsy moth. What was most incredible about that, we can't stop the infestation, but what was incredible is that a group of citizens came here and talked about a problem on their property. And then that group of citizens got a few more people, and they gathered and put their heads together and offered to lead. We have two citizens who stepped forward to be the lead of the Gypsy Moth, Spongy Moth Task Force, Diane Warnke and Bill Nelson, who live out in the county, don't owe it to anyone to step forward, but they're putting their volunteer time into making our community better. And I guess that would be my message from the things that Commissioner Mrzinski said, is that it's not about glory. It's about, in your corner of the world, making it just a little bit better than what it is. And if we all did that, imagine what an incredible world we would live in. I will end with the return of the LaPorte County Works program. As you know, we started this about a little over a year ago, and the purpose of the program is to address, first of all, to honor the businesses who have dug their roots into our county and continue to invest, reinvest, hire, buy new equipment and provide really great products and services built right here in LaPorte County. The other vein in the program is that we hear people say there's no good jobs here. And we're here to say that is absolutely untrue. There are so many great opportunities for entry-level workers, for people who want to reinvent themselves, for people who want to upscale their careers. So we are returning again. The highlights are on our website. If you click on the icon for a company's name, you can find out what that company makes. And first of all, it's great. Now we have quite a few on there, so you can see everything from eyeglasses to filtration systems. I mean, we have so many very interesting things made right here in our county. So this week, the LaPorte County Works project, and special thanks to Mike Seitz, who makes this his wonderful contribution. He helps by visiting the sites, writing up the draft of the reports, sitting down with me, and we discuss it. And then, of course, Tony and Bailey contribute as well. So it's a team effort. We work together as a team to make sure that people not only know that these companies are here and that we want to honor their presence and make them realize that we really value them, but also we want to share the good news that they have great positions that they're hiring into. So this week we're focusing on Haynes International. It's located in LaPorte on 39, and it started in 2017. It's one of the world's largest developers and distributors of high-performance nickel and cobalt-based alloys for use in high-temperature and corrosion applications. The company's successful history spans more than a century of products, processes, and most of all, great people. Also developed by Haynes is the introduction of many highly skilled nickel and cobalt-based alloys that are used worldwide in the most demanding environmental and critical applications for aerospace, power generation, chemical processing, pharmaceuticals, and other areas. Haynes serves a critical function in providing materials for each and every mission, the Apollo missions. In 1984, Elwood Haynes drove his Pioneer automobile down Pumpkin Vine Pike in Kokomo, Indiana, and began to set into motion his inventive spirit. He was a tireless inventor who developed the unique metal alloys that led to the foundation of Haynes International in 1912 and their ongoing commitment to alloy excellence, which inspires their tradition of innovation. They have manufacturing facilities in Kokomo, Indiana, which was their home base, Arcadia, Louisiana, Mountain Home, North Carolina, and LaPorte, Indiana. The LaPorte facility performs slitting, stretch leveling, blanking, and cut-to-length operations to Haynes International and other customers. They offer full benefit package, 401k, attendance bonus, dental and eye care, shift premium, and they have current openings in machine operation and warehouse. If you want to apply, we'll include this in the press release. There's a phone number for the HR director, Mr. Cook, 219-326-8530, and their website will be listed on our LaPorte County Works. We'll be releasing this to the press shortly, and they've done a great job of printing an article every time we talk about the LaPorte County Works. They have done a really great job of highlighting the company and giving that company's information. So people reading the paper, either online or in person, or on our website, can find out information on how to get their first job or a better job. And that's the point of our program. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful summer day.